Finally, my most asked for and anticipated guide, a complete farming guide. I will take you through the steps of what is farming in Guild Wars, what classes can farm in Guild Wars, and how you do go about farming. So without further ado, enjoy GW's Farm Data's complete farming guide. Farming in Guild Wars is the act of using a certain build to farm a certain amount of enemies in a particular place. Now that we know what farming is, let's go over what builds each class can use and which class is the most effective for farming. The first class we will go over is the Ritualist. This is my personal favorite class. I have been using a Ritualist ever since I started the game, and I have just really found a lot of successful farming ability through the Ritualist. The Ritualist's main farming build is the 330 HP Ritualist, which you see right here. This is the build that if you go on PVX Wiki and you look up a farming build, this is what you'll get. The main way to use this build is you just keep up Protective Spirit, keep up Vengeful was Kining, and keep up Spirit Bond when VWK is down. Also, just like any other farming build, keep up your three main enchantments. Other builds for the Ritualist include the fairly new Spirit Signet of Spirits Farmer, which can farm a lot of areas in Guild Wars. It is slowly overtaking the 330 HP Ritualist for the best farming build in the game. Ritualists also are really good used in groups for FOW speed clears and any other speed clear. They're a very good team class. The next class is the Assassin. The Assassin nowadays is definitely known for being the most powerful farming class in the game, mainly because of the perma shadow form, which is extremely cheap if you ask me. This class soon will probably become obsolete when shadow form is nerfed. The main builds for this class is, of course, shadow form. There are two different versions. There's an Assassin Mesmer shadow form, which uses Arcane Echo and Deadly Paradox to keep up shadow form, and then you kill enemies by using hexes and Cry of Pain. And then the first main build shadow form build is the Assassin Elementalist, which is keeping up shadow form with the use of Glyph of Swiftness, and Deadly Paradox. You then kill enemies using Sliver Armor. Other builds for this class, there aren't that many. You can use Flashing Blades, but this class is basically determined as a farmer by the Perma Sin, which can farm virtually any area. The Monk is basically the first solo farming class ever created in Guild Wars. The Monk's farming ability is based around the 55 HP farmer, which you can see the build right here. This is the most recent updated build. It uses Mystic Regen instead of Healing Breeze, but you can still use Healing Breeze. The main idea of a 55 HP monk is to keep up your health regeneration, whether it be Mystic or Healing Prayer, and also keep up Prat Spirit. As usual, there will be three main enchantments that you keep up at all times, and the damage that is dealt with this build is Shield of Judgment. There are a bunch of variants for this build. You can go Mesmer and take out casters by using a Drain energy skill. You can also just go a generic monk without a secondary. The monks have a lot of different farming builds. This build you see over here is the Great Destroyer end game Eye of the North boss build. You can kill him and run people through this mission for money using this build right over here. The build I have up right now is the 600 build, and with the help of a smiter you can duo a vast majority of the areas in Guild Wars. The Necromancer is probably the first class to adapt to the 55 HP build. Once the Monk 55 HP build was created, Necromancers found out that they could also create a 55 HP Necromancer build, and as you can see right here, this is one of the variants. You can also go curses and put in Spiteful Spirit, and you can use this build to take out mobs of enemies. Another main build for the Necromancer is the boss farming build. You can use it uses terrain exploits to take out bosses without having to keep any enchantments up. Basically, you just use these skills and take out bosses while hiding behind an area so they can't get you. The Mesmer is another class that adapted to the 55 HP build. There are many different variants that the Mesmer can use to farm in the 55 HP style. The one you see here is one that I just kind of threw together. This build off to the right is a build that has been on GW or PVX Wiki for a while, and that is the main 55 HP build for the Mesmer. Mesmers are also used highly in groups groups and speed clears. The Elementalist nowadays is mainly used for raptor farming, and off to the right, as you can see here, this is the fastest method to solo raptor farming. But back in the day when there was no such thing as raptor farming, Elementalists used obsidian flesh builds to maintain obsidian flesh and take out large groups of casters and other enemies. Warriors nowadays are pretty much obsolete when it comes to solo farming. In fact, I can't think of a solo farm that is effective that a warrior has. But what they do have is a warrior necro raptor farm that involves a paragon hero, and that is the fastest method to farming raptors. Warriors are dependent on making money through FOW speed clears and other main speed clears. The Paragon has virtually zero solo farming builds. The main purpose of a Paragon is to buff its teammates in battle and in speed clears. The main build of a Paragon is the Imbagon, as you can see right here, and it is an extremely effective build and a highly sought after build. So if you're a Paragon, don't worry, you can get into groups, just make an Imbagon. The only solo build that a Paragon ever had was this Paragon Ranger Stygian Veil Farmer, but they nerfed that and took that away from the Paragon. There are a lot of builds for Rangers to farm with, but Rangers are kind of past their prime when it comes to solo farming. There is builds like these barrage builds that can solo farm a certain type of mobs. There's also a lot of builds that are kind of sentimental to Rangers, and they don't put them out and give them to the community. So there are Ranger farming builds out there, but not as much as other classes. The main way that Rangers used to make money, and a good way that they still do, is by trapping. And as you can see here, this is the team setup for a a Domain of Anguish trapping team. The Dervish is the first class to come out with a 130 HP build. That is the most popular Dervish build, the 130 HP Dervish, and this is the build as you can see here. Wounding Strike can be subbed out for a few variants, but this build allows you to farm a large amount of areas, much like the 55 HP and the 130 RIP. So I hope this guide helped you. I spent a lot of time on it. If you have more questions about generalized farming tips or hints or whatever, feel free to leave a comment. I'm sure I or someone else will be able to help you. Also, you could always send me a message, a personal message on YouTube, or if I'm on, just kind of add me to your friends list, Fallen Writ, and if I'm on, just send me a message and I can try and help you. Thanks, guys.